honestly, our roster, it's the same for you guys. It's the same for you guys. Let me start from the back to the front because you already know who the guys up front. And you already know who the guys in the midfield are that I want to get rid of. Let's just start in the back. First things first. This is gonna be really fucking weird to say. I don't really care. Oh, I'm not gonna say any goalkeepers. I don't care about Adrian. Yeah, he kind of lets in a goal every time he plays for us, but we still tend to win when he's with us. And I still think Liverpool's getting rid of him, so not a big deal. Um, However, the first player I want to sell is Joel Matip.
Mm,
I know.
okay.
This is really hard for me to say because since
Yeah.
the minute he got to Liverpool, Joel, which is how I like to pronounce his name, no Joel, has been one of the most underrated center backs in the league.
Okay.
This man is a Rolls Royce, and I'm so serious. The way he defends is beautiful. It's assured. He's not some crazy fucking tackler. He's tall. He's skinny. So he's just a toe poker. His positioning, his body positioning is
Right.
incredible for a guy who's as tall as he is. He's a little aggressive in the tackle. I'll say that he's a little more aggressive. He can be that guy to step up. Um, and like when he pairs up with Virgil van Dijk, he is the aggressor, where Virgil van Dijk is the guy who sweeps up behind, which I think is
Hmm.
really interesting because Joel Matip seems like such a chill guy. But he loves to step up a line. He loves to anticipate the ball and get one of those long ass legs wrapped around somebody, and poke the ball away. Um, and then when he's on the ball, the most underrated defender in this league. Again, um,
Mm,
a beautiful passer, incredible passer. I'm talking short passes, long passes, in the air, on the ground. This guy be having through balls. I mean, like his assortment of through balls from the back line or from like stepping up to midfield is incredible. I don't know if there's a YouTube compilation of Matip's just playmaking ability, but it should go down as one of the best in the past 10 years for a center back. Um,
I
and
really.
then
Or go ahead. Sorry. Finish your point.
I was gonna say the last super underrated aspect about him is his dribbling. Um, this guy, when you talk about a modern center back, a modern playmaking center back, a modern underlapping center back, people want to talk about Lewis Dunk and John Stones and David Alaba in terms of stepping up to the midfield line. But Matip, oh my God, this guy will have a 50-yard run from the back line all the way to right behind his forwards, and he'll just be slicing and dicing, just slow as fuck,
Mm.
galloping through niggas. Like it's beautiful. It's just
Mhm.
beautiful because they can't get the ball off him, and you can see
Right.
motherfuckers just trying, and they just can't get it off him. He's way faster, way smoother, and his releasing ball even after a dribble. You know how motherfuckers can dribble too far off the back line, and then none of the guys is making a run, or all the forwards are blocked off, so now he has to pass to the guy next to him. Joel Matip's timing with that was always so good to the point
The
where
David Louis specialty.
he was always passing the ball forward. Even, you know what I'm saying? Even when he dribbled through the
Mm,
whole other team and it was just the back line and his forwards, a perfect pass, you know? I know I'm waxing lyrical, but I just finally wanted to give this man his flowers because I don't think anybody understands how good Joel Matip is when he's playing. What
mm.
were you going to say?
So back in the club days, um, shout out Washington Premier.
Hey.
There was there was a kid named Logan who was on the younger team, the age group
Oh.
below us,
Hmm.
and we would always like scrimmage them sometimes after
Hmm.
practice or like for a practice or something. And I would always not even like clown this kid. It was more out of respect. But back
Hmm.
when with Joel Matip was playing for Schalke, right? Um, I was like, damn, you really look like Matip, bro. And I would just call him Matip all the time. And it was funny because he looked like him, but also like he did have that same the way you were describing it, like the tall, skinny frame, long legs, like poke the ball away. Um, he was pretty composed. I wouldn't say he was like the fastest player ever, but like he was like composed, like just a really good defender. Um, yeah, and I mean, I've always had this like respect for Matip for that. Like I've always I like looked at his highlight videos and stuff in Germany and because I was just always bringing. I'd be like, "Yo, Matip, like what's up?"
Look,
Like
man.
across the field, like and uh, and he kind
Look,
of
man.
embraced it after a little while. Like so, yeah, I got a soft spot for Matip.
Because
I see him go.
because homeboy probably caught a couple clips of Matip too, and he probably realized,
He
oh
probably
shit.
leaned into it. Yeah.
He's probably realized, oh shit, old boy ain't dissing me. He's giving me a compliment. Like,
hmm
but see, there's a reason I respect your football opinion so much because a lot of people don't understand what Matip brings, and they don't think he's a good center back. They think he's just a center back, right?
Right. Just an
When we caught
average.
him on free from Schalke, like there was low key serious excitement. There was like low key amount of like
Yeah. I
legitimate
would have loved
excitement.
to have him at Arsenal because he was just like a young kid in Germany too. Like I was like, this kid's killing it at like 23 or whatever he was. Like,
Germany wanted him to play center back for them, but he went to go play for Cameroon instead. Like
hmm
Germany was kind of pissed that he went to. I mean, I think there was like a little thing in Germany where they were pissed that he went to Cameroon because they wanted him for the German national team. It was like, no, fuck that. I've been wanting to play for Cameroon, you know.
hmm
But the big issue with Matip is injuries. And now see if y'all hear a fucking theme when I go through these guys, right? Injuries. Joel Matip. I don't have the numbers. All I have is my own fan instinct, and I can tell you from the jump, Joel Matip is too injury prone. He's not played enough games for us. He can't play more than 2 or 3 games in a row, which really sucks because the quality that he brings to the back line, I tell you, there's a reason I was so pissed that Liverpool let go of Dejan Lovren and they decided only to rely on Matip and Gomez because if Matip and Gomez were iron-proof, like I'm sorry, if they were bulletproof, if they were made of iron, I wouldn't have any issue. If I knew Joel Matip could play day in day out every minute of every game in a season, I would have no issues with our center back depth. Not really, neither would the team because he brings such a good high level of defending. However, this man plays one game and then he's out for another 2 games, out for another 3 games, out for a month at a time. It doesn't matter what. This guy can be you don't have to hit this guy. This guy can be running. This guy can be passing. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's not necessarily the same level of Joe Gomez type injury prone where he tears a whole ligament just off of jumping, but it gets really bad because you can predict that Joel Matip is not going to play. And just, I don't care how good of a center back he is, that's a waste of space. That's a waste of a prime center back spot. He's older now, so he's obviously earning good wages, and like he doesn't even have, how do I say this? He clearly is popular in the locker room, but he's not the guy that you bring along just because he's a locker room presence, right? He's not a Jordan Henderson where even if that guy's injured, you know you can bring him along with you in the team because he's gonna have such a profound effect on the locker room. Joel Matip is not that guy, unfortunately, and it hurts to even say this, but we honestly need to move on from him. Liverpool have this dumb policy of buying these injury prone players. They bought a bunch of injury prone players for a coach that is known for the physicality of his style. And they keep insisting, they insist on keeping these injury prone players, even though it's so clear that these guys aren't ever going to be able to work out for the team. I'm going to talk about another one of those guys in a little bit, but I'm going to stay on the back
Well,
line.
how many? I guess
Oh, did
like
you have
how
something to say?
many times has that really stabbed Liverpool in the back? Like, because I think this season was like a worst case scenario situation. A lot of times, I was gonna ask you this like towards the end of when you finish defenders, but like I was gonna
Mhm.
say a four man, a four man center back like committee, I guess, of Joe Gomez, Van Dijk, Matip, and uh
Konate?
oh Kanate. Yeah, sure, yeah, Kanate. Yeah, like to me, that's unless things go just horribly wrong in another season, like it's a
Well,
possibility, but is it really
everything that
that
went possible.
realistic?
I mean, but think about it. Everything that went possibly wrong this season went wrong. And then what's crazy
How
is
many
that
years has it been when it was fine? You know, like I guess like
well, we've been riding that line though. You know, it's been
hmm
3 years of the same players playing the same system, running a whole fucking line. Now, I
hmm
mean, last season was the perfect evidence of all of that running and stuff finally coming back to bite everyone in the ass. All of that lack of rotation coming back to bite everyone in the ass. It was a
hmm
huge perfect storm last year of injuries, right? But the problem is Joel Matip has been this level of reliable since he got to the club. I want to say maybe 2016 or 2017, like his first year. Maybe he was all right. Maybe he was pretty dependable. But ever since then, he's just been made of glass. And what's fucked about having a 4-man back line or a center back stable of Van Dijk, Matip, Gomez, and Konate is that 3 out of those 4 center backs are seriously injury prone. Still.
Hmm.
You know, that was the issue this season where we were relying on 3 center backs and 2 of them are injury prone. And then, of course, a freak injury happens to the only ironclad center back. Then we can't rely on Gomez because he got a freak injury. Well, Matip's coming back. Oh, we can't rely on him. He came back and then he was gone immediately. Like we couldn't even celebrate dude coming back properly.
I
I'm
guess I would like to think that you can rotate them properly enough that it wouldn't matter, but you would know better than me.
knowing
And
Liverpool's
I'm
luck.
like obviously gonna defer to you. Like if you think you need to change it, then yeah.
I don't know who I'd replace. Well, I know who I'd replace Matip with, but I just the only reason I really say we have to get rid of Matip is because we got Konate, and he seems to be an excellent young center back. He has a lot of
Hmm.
potential. He looks as though he's even going to displace Joe Gomez for that number 2 spot, right? Um, but he's also injury prone. He's also had a couple of massive injuries, even as a young center back. So I say we bring in another center back, someone who might be a little older and a lot more reliable physically. You know what I mean? Not not Joel Matip. I love him. I love him to death, but there's too many injury prone players on the squad, and we got to start getting rid of them. So we got to get rid of the older guys.
Right.
With that being said, now I'm about to pivot to a younger player who I think we should get rid of. Um, Nat Phillips.
Really.
This isn't negative in any way, shape, or form. Now Phillips really grew into his role for Liverpool, and I think he
Hmm.
came in really clutch. However, I think this is another example. This is almost like an example of Divock Origi in 2019. Just a player who wasn't supposed to be relied upon, coming up with a bunch of really clutch moments in a season, like a bunch of clutch moments in a row for one season. Nat Phillips is 24. He's a lot older than I thought he was when he was playing for us. When he first started playing for us, he is really good in the air and he has a lot of really clutch blocks. So a good committed defender, but not the type that's gonna get first team minutes on a team like Liverpool. He
Hmm.
is a really good defender, and I think he's the type of player that I think a smaller club would want to build their defense around, or at least the type of leader that a small club could use, and the type of player that could grow with a club. I don't know where he would go. Maybe Fulham, maybe a smaller club like that where they just need a defensive, reliable, solid player. Um, he's not good enough on the ball to play for Liverpool. He's not fast enough or good enough positioning wise to play for Liverpool for a really long time, especially being 24. I know he's still developing and he'll probably still grow as a player, but where he is right now just isn't at the level that Liverpool need him to be to even say we're going to give you these backup minutes when everyone else is injured. Um,
Right.
so I think Liverpool learns from their past mistakes and they capitalize on this kid because there's I mean the 2 of the guys who are in front of him right now when they come back from being injured are younger than him,
Yeah.
and there's 2 of them and they're both almost international quality players, excuse me, whereas this guy is getting his first shot at the age of 24, which isn't a bad thing,
Especially for
but
center
it's
back.
just not Liverpool's level. So they need to capitalize on this. They need to capitalize on his really good showings for the second half of the season, and they need to sell him to a club that really, really needs a solid center back.
I really like Nat Phillips. I think he has like
I
a
like him a
mistake in
lot.
him. I think he has a mistake in him, and obviously playing for a club like Liverpool, that gets amplified like
Yeah,
tenfold when it happens.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I think he's just like a sturdy, good like backup center back for you guys.
yeah,
Um, I can see like yeah, wanting to move on.
yeah. And I guess another reason I think I'm resigned to, or I'm willing to let go of Nat Phillips is because apparently, I don't know if anyone remembers Ben Davis. We bought some guy from Swansea, and he got injured the second he got to us. So,
Right.
but apparently, he hasn't seen a single minute, right? Ozan Kabak has seen more minutes. Nat Phillips has seen more minutes. Reese Williams, our fucking 19-year-old baby face ass little kid, has seen more minutes than Ben Davis. So I'm kind of doubtful that we keep him, but apparently he's completely in Klopp's plans, and Klopp wants to give him a chance this summer instead of just selling him on. So then in that case, you move on Nat Phillips. Good luck to him wherever he goes. But I think Liverpool needs to be smart and sell this guy for a good 8 to 12 million. And then, oh man, let's get on to the midfield. You know the three guys I'm always talking about. We need to get fucking rid of Naby Keita now. Now. Tired of it.
Oh man.
Over it. I'm over it. It's not even his fault, bro. I'm over it. I don't care. I need him gone now.
Right.
Same issues as Joel Matip, except he doesn't look good when he's playing. He's so injury prone, he'll play 1 to 2 games in a row, and then he's back on the physio table. Told you before, this guy's career basically got ruined by his national team. He came to Liverpool with this huge injury.
Wow, he's
Had
not
to
even
wait.
that old. I'm
No,
looking
he's not.
at
But he's been with
I
us since
thought he
what?
was like close to 30. Jeez.
Nope. That's how long it seems he's been with us. He came in what? He was bought in 2017. Came in 2018. Had a layoff of like 3 to 6 months because he came here injured or some shit. Um, came back, looked really good for us. Got another injury as a result of this first injury, probably overcompensation or something like that. Got injured, then ended up playing a bunch of World Cup qualifiers or whatever the fuck qualifiers for his national team. Was broken, came back, had to sit on the physio table the whole time for Liverpool, then got called up to his national team again, even though Liverpool said, yo, don't let him play. He's broken. And then they let him play the entirety of a tournament. And it didn't go well. It didn't go well. This guy's been broken ever since. He's like Abu Dhabi in that he's just been injured for so long in so many different places that his body is just like a jumbled mess of loose muscles, overly tight muscles, weak tendons, brittle bones, and shit like that. Like his body is just basically, by trying to push himself through injury and by trying to play, he's fucked himself more and more and more and more. So now his body's just so out of whack and it's so fragile that it can't take any of the strains that Liverpool system tends to put on midfielders. He was supposed to be a Conte type player where he was just everywhere, a defensive bite, but he was supposed to be another level where that he was supposed to have the great attacking awareness, the good through balls, great goal scoring, and stuff like that. But it just hasn't worked out. So now he hasn't even played for us to the point where now when he does play or now when he does start, he's more than a couple steps behind. You know what I'm saying? It takes a long time to get that match fitness back. Match fitness ain't just about endurance. It's also about speed of thought, and it's also about comfortability in technique and in making sure that you're helping your team in the best way possible. And he just has never been able to do that from the second he came back. He's shown bits and flashes, but even then, that was closer to 2018, 2019 versus now. These past couple of years, he hasn't looked good at all. He's looked bad. So I say we get rid of him. Sorry to say it like that. We sell him to a team that has a good history of rehabbing players, or sell him to a team that has a good history of fixing injury prone players because he's too far gone for Liverpool. I don't know what they were
Man.
thinking buying him while he was injured. And then, well, no, I understand what they were thinking, but Liverpool has shown themselves to be a club that doesn't improve players' endurance, right? You're either injury prone when you get to Liverpool, or you're like one of these
Or you
fucking
become
Iron Man.
injury prone. No, okay.
You know, or you're an Iron Man like Wijnaldum or Robertson or Salah, or you know what I'm saying? Um,
Mm-hmm.
Keita is just he needs to go somewhere, and he needs to go somewhere now where he can sit down for about a year and just work himself back. Liverpool's depth is too thin for him to be able to do that. He needs to go somewhere where he can just hide out, sit down, and just work on himself and just get healthy, bro. Just like RDC World. I don't know if you saw that skit that they had when LeBron went out, but he was talking to Anthony Davis. He's like, AD, you've been hurt for like a year. Go see a doctor. That's exactly how I feel about Keita,
Oh
bro.
man.
Matip is just as bad injury prone wise, and I still get more angry at Keita for being out. And it sucks because it's not even
Wow.
his fault.
Right.
Oh man, next
Damn, you're
guy.
spitting. You're spitting.
No, look, man. I gotta
That
get
was
this
all
out,
facts.
bro.
That was all facts.
I
Yeah.
gotta get this out. Next guy. Oh man, I love you, but Ox, you gotta go, bro. And you know what's crazy? It's almost the same exact. It's not the same exact issue as Keita, right? Because Oxlade-Chamberlain, when Keita came to Liverpool, Oxlade-Chamberlain basically took all the minutes that were supposed to go to Keita when Keita
Mm-hmm.
was healthy because Oxlade-Chamberlain was so dynamic in midfield. It's weird because like even when you think of Oxlade-Chamberlain now, you don't think of incredible dribbling, or you think of more like a jokester or a guy or like the young winger, right? But as a central midfielder, he was a pressing demon, incredible in the press, really good dribbler, um, really tricky with his technique as well, and as you know, a great shooter from especially from out far. Um, I really liked Ox. If anything, out of all the players on this list that I want to get rid of, if we end up keeping Ox, that's the one I'll be least mad at because at least when he has played for Liverpool, almost every single time that he's played in central midfield, he's looked really good. He's brought that extra dimension that Liverpool hasn't had for those past few years. Like when we got to those Champions League finals and stuff like that, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, he was like our first sub for the midfield because he brought something else. That thing that people say that Klopp, or that I've been saying that Klopp's been looking for, that plan B in midfield, where people thought Thiago was that guy. That was Oxlade-Chamberlain, right? Keita was supposed to be that guy. They were the replacements for Coutinho. Like Oxlade-Chamberlain has shown to be that really good plan B. The thing is, again, he's not reliable. He just hasn't been reliable physically since he had that crazy fucking, I forgot how he injured himself, but ever since he had that really bad injury a few years ago, he's been coming back in fits and spurts just like Keita. And I'm assuming it's overcompensation once again, but he just hasn't been able to stabilize his body and stabilize himself and stay off of the physio table. Um, Again, he had a really good ending to the season, which is why I'll say we can keep him if they want, but make sure you wrap him in plastic and put him away safely. When you take him out, when you unwrap him from the bubble wrap, and safely, gently put him on the field for like maybe 10 minutes at a time. You know what I'm saying?
Damn.
Obviously more
Damn.
than that, but I say if you play Ox for the next season, if you want him to become a reliable player for the next season, you help him look after his body, and you don't do anything but bring him on as a sub for the first half of the season.
Yeah. I remember when he first came to Arsenal, man, I really thought he was gonna be the next best thing.
Man,
Like
everybody
a
thought so.
winger that could play like as a center mid too. Like it was yeah.
Yeah,
I thought he was gonna be completely disgusting. It's sad to see like injuries kind of held him back.
yeah.
Slash maybe expectations were a little too big. I don't know. I thought he was gonna be like crazy world class. Like I thought he
But
was
when
gonna be so nasty.
see, and it's so crazy because you see when I say bits and flashes, this is more than bits and flashes because whenever he does come on the field, he always does something for Liverpool that's like, yo, wow, what the fuck? Like I didn't expect this from him, or I didn't expect him to get this type of assist or this type of goal, or I didn't expect him to be such a pressing monster the way he is. He looks great for Liverpool when he's on the field. So I just want him to either get on the field or sell him somewhere else, man. But
And he's got
we,
a
we
top 10 name ever. Great
right,
fucking name.
long ass fucking name, man. And then the last guy in the midfield slash forward area. So this will be a hybrid between the midfield and the forwards. Um, Xherdan Shaqiri.
What?
Jordan Shaqiri
You're not
looks.
selling Curtis Jones to Arsenal?
No, fuck out of here, bro. Oh my
I
god.
love Curtis Jones so much, but
No,
go off.
Curtis Jones is sick. So
He's so
Jordan
good.
Shaqiri, he look, man. There's a reason. There's a reason he was a really good player at Basel. There's a reason he went to Bayern. There's a reason Inter Milan bought him. But there's also a reason he spent 3 years at Stoke and was their most relied upon player for that entire time. And there's also a reason Stoke still got relegated while he was playing for him.
Mm.
Xherdan Shaqiri is a really good cherry on top. He is the guy you bring in when you stretch a midfield or defense. He's the guy you bring in when maybe you just need a guy who can keep the ball in that little hole where the 10 should be, or even next to, or even if you just need a guy to float into the space next to Firmino. Like, you know how Firmino kind of drops back into that false nine. If he needs a guy next to him to help him connect or help him stitch chances together, Xherdan Shaqiri is pretty good for that. He has a great left foot. He's much better on the ball, like much better shooting wise, much better dead ball wise, much better passing wise than I think a lot of people acknowledge or give him credit for, because he hasn't really played much, and he's kind of also been played in some very weird positions by Klopp. I feel as though Klopp likes to mix Oxlade-Chamberlain and Shaqiri, and he thinks that they can play the same role, but they can't really. Like, he tends to put Oxlade-Chamberlain out wide sometimes in like replacement for Salah or Mane, when Ox definitely only works as a central midfielder for us. And then Shaqiri's kind of vice versa in that he looks good as a central midfielder, like almost that Iniesta, like at the top of the midfield three, but he works a lot better at, out wide, or at least he connects a lot better with the team out
I was about
wide.
to say, I don't think I've ever seen Shaqiri play in the midfield like as a center mid.
He's
It's wild.
well, he's always gotten overran, right? Like, so the best place he works in midfield again is that space next to Firmino. But with that space next to Firmino, when he's stitching everyone together, that's when Liverpool's in control. That's when the entire Liverpool team is in the other half of the box. I mean, other half of the field, completely surrounding the opponent's box, and we're just pitching shit in. That's when he's really effective. But he's not clutch. He's not as dynamic as we might need. As the skills he has on the ball lends itself to a player who is dynamic, and he is not dynamic enough. If that makes sense. So, like, for the things that he brings to the field, he's not able to get himself in the proper positions all the time. And then when he is, he's somewhat profligate in front of goal. He misses a lot of shit. And it can get really frustrating because you're like, bro, like, you look at him and you're like, yo, if it was any other one of our front three, they would have made it. So I think Shaqiri showed himself a few years ago. I think Stoke was probably the perfect club for him, or that perfect level club where he was the best flair-based player on a really tough team that kind of compensated for maybe his shortcomings. No pun intended. Even though Shakir is a physical guy too, right? Like, he's as wide as he is tall. And they call him the cube, right? But
Yeah,
he,
yeah, I
he's
forgot
he's
about
just he's just not, effective enough. And again, comes down to injuries, comes down to physicality, just comes down to his skill set. And then the last player that I really need Liverpool to get rid of, and mind you, everyone that I want Liverpool to get rid of, we need to replace. We need to replace, and sometimes two times over, because this is me getting rid of Liverpool's depth, because we should have replaced our depth a long time ago. We also need more depth than what we currently have. So the players that I'm going to want is going to much far outweigh the players that I think we should get rid of. The last player we need to get rid of is Divock Origi. Holy fuck, we should have sold this guy the second he stepped off the Champions League celebration bus. I'm telling you, this guy's stock was never higher. He was never more clutch for us. But how do I say this? The amount of special moments that he had, you can look at all of them and be like, okay, this was a moment. And it's really easy to say that now versus back then, because back then it seemed as though, okay, he was turning into another version of Lukaku, a really fast, technical, intelligent connector of the ball, super physical, super great in the air, great shooter, always trying and stuff. But again, there's just not enough of it. He doesn't press particularly well. It's gotten to the point where Divock Origi was actually being played as like a wide forward instead of a central
Mm.
forward, which I don't know if you've seen Divock Origi and his
Yeah,
skill
it doesn't
set,
really
but
suit like his profile, I would say.
so for Jurgen Klopp to put him out wide, that doesn't show well for the faith that he has in
No
a guy like
confidence,
that
yeah.
in the middle. You know what I'm saying? Um, I just, it's a lot harder to place what's wrong with Origi because it's been so long since he's actually played regularly. But I think that also kind of shows, what should have happened, right? Like he was never going to get the same amount of playing time for Liverpool afterwards. It was kind of a miracle that he got this amount of playing time now. I mean, then in 2019. So yeah, they should have been capitalized on Origi. He should have went to like Marseille or Crystal Palace or somewhere that needs like a good, reliable forward because he's just not getting enough time in Liverpool's front line to be able to mesh properly. And he's already got displaced by Jota. So, yeah, but as far as Liverpool guys go, those are all the guys that we really need to get rid of. Um,
How do
not
you
get rid
feel
of.
about like the loan guys? Is there any of the loan guys you'd
We
want to
don't
get rid of?
really. No, no, mm-mm, no. Most
I'm
of the guys
looking
that
at
we
your
have.
roster on like the Liverpool website. You guys still have Lloris Karius on your team.
Oh, he's
I
on.
thought you
Oh,
sold
fuck.
him.
Yeah.
He's still technically a Liverpool player.
He was
After
supposed to
what
go
he
to.
did, he should never be allowed through those doors
Bro,
again.
they loaned
Like,
him out. Literally the season after, they
they
loaned
can't
him out
sell him. What's up?
to Besiktas or Fenerbahce or something, and
I
he
thought he's
was
in the
showing.
Belgian league.
Was it that one?
Yeah, I
No,
don't know. Like
that was our
now,
other
like
really
right
bad.
now.
Oh, right now he's in our
Oh
Belgian league.
no, I don't know. I'm getting
Simone,
confused.
the other guy,
Oh yeah,
Mignolet.
Mignolet.
Oh God, Mignolet. Oh, okay. Ugh. Anyways, Loris Karius, I totally forgot. I think he went to Fenerbahce or Besiktas, right? The season
Mm.
after, and he started out really well, and then the same thing happened where he just had a stretch of really bad games, really dumb mistakes, and so the Turkish team was like, on second thought, we'll pass on this guy. So
Yeah,
he's still on the
can't get rid
books.
of him.
I want us to come. Harvey Elliott, I have something to say about him later. Um, we sold Kijana Hoover, which I'm really sad about. But who's the redhead Dutch kid? Sepp Vandenberg. Um, I think he'll end up being pretty good by the time he comes back. We have a lot of really young center backs who are promising. Billy Kumeto, Reese Williams has shown he can play in the Premier League. So I want to see, instead of him playing for Kidderminster under 23s next season, I want to see him going to like a Norwich or a Fulham or even a championship level team, um, a team that'll give him a good amount of minutes. But yeah, that's about it for the amount of guys I want to sell. It's crazy because I had a much smaller list than you did, and I still took about an hour.
So what's the total? What's the total number for you then?
I got 6 guys that I need that we
6
have
guys,
to get rid of. Absolutely.
right?